It's time for your SportsEdge.com Sideline Report with Todd Griffin. Talking sports and more here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY and worldwide at WPKYOnline.com. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
Good morning, everyone. The Sideline Report is on the air from 1035 West Main Street in Princeton, the WPKY studios. Thanks for tuning in this morning. This is Todd Griffin, and joining us on the phone this morning as we get things going in a hurry is Kevin Patton of the Henderson Gleaner. Kevin, how are things going in Henderson this morning?
So far, so good.
Excellent.
Looks like a cloudy day, but we're up and working today, so that's good.
Yeah, that's always a good sign, and we have reached the postseason for a lot of high school sports, and to be honest with you, Kevin, I wasn't really sure we were going to get here.
I would agree with that. I was talking last night to some folks at the district soccer tournament, and we were kind of in agreement. We didn't think we'd make it this far, so we're glad that that's happened. So at least we've made it to the postseason, even though it's been a very strange and short season, but we'll take what we can get.
It's a lot better than not having any games, which is what we were kind of looking at back in August.
That is correct. I wasn't too sure we would, have anything. And then even, locally, even the state, even though the state had kind of, cleared the way for things to happen, I wasn't too sure that would happen locally here in Henderson. So it's been good to be out on the field. I know the athletes have appreciated that too.
Well, a lot of schools have kind of gone different ways as far as the COVID-19 situation is concerned. Henderson County took a little bit longer to kind of get going once the fall seasons were approved by the KHSAA.
Yeah, they did. They kind of held back on the start of practice and kind of limited things a little more than most of the other schools. As it turned out, it didn't really matter. At first, I think some of the coaches were concerned that we're going to be way behind some of the other schools, but then when the seasons were delayed, especially football, it really didn't matter. They were able to do some conditioning and stuff like that early on and really weren't really behind anybody else. So it kind of worked out for them. I think they were just being a little more cautious maybe than some of the other school districts. And, for right or wrong, it's worked out. It really wasn't that big a deal. But
it's been a little different at ball games, though. We don't see the crowds we typically do, and I think that kind of has an impact on the games when I don't think we really realized how big a deal it was having people there until they weren't there.
Exactly. It's a lot quieter at games. You don't have. I don't know. It's just not. Sometimes a great game kind of. You kind of lose the intensity maybe of how good a game it is when you don't have that crowd kind of really into it. So you've noticed that a lot. Henderson has cut back because we are a red county. They've cut back on their attendance policy for this week and next week. It's essentially parents only at this point. Each player and coach is given they're allowed to have 2 spectators per person, and so there's no ticket sales. It's just like, the players submit who's coming, and they check in when they come in the gate, and that applies to the visitors. So, and that's going to be the effect next week, and for the girls' soccer regional will be that way. So that may affect folks listening down that way. So it's not just anybody. Not anybody can come to the regional tournament that wants to. It'll be limited to basically parents only, or if you can get a ticket from a player that maybe a parent's not using, that's the only way you're getting to come. So just kind of tighten, because our numbers have been really high. A lot of that is due to a incident at the long-term care facility here. But the numbers here in Henderson County have been extremely high over the last couple of weeks. So,
well, and for people who are going to go to the regional tournament, my guess is you only get to watch your game. You can't stick around and watch the other game that night either.
That is correct. I think they're going to put a little more time in between the games to clear the stands and I guess probably do some sanitizing as well. And then I don't know if it's cold. I don't know how the virus responds to it. It's like 40 degrees, but we'll see. But I guess they're going to do some cleaning and at least so the fans aren't like on top of each other, like where one group's coming in and one's leaving. So, but I know that's in the works for next week for the regional tournament. So yeah.
I was going to say about the only positive I can find out of some of this is it's a little easier to find a parking spot.
That is true. That is true. It's always the case now. You don't really have to worry about having to walk a mile to the field or the stadium or whatever. So, yeah.
We do have regional soccer tournaments coming up next week. The girls is at Henderson. Boys, I believe, is over at Madisonville. Kevin, who are kind of the favorites this year for the regional soccer titles?
Well, I would say I'll start with the girls. I mean, of course, being with the limited season, it's kind of, we haven't seen a whole lot of teams, or I haven't. I think on the girls' side, I think it's probably going to be Henderson and Madisonville the favorites. That's my guess. UHA maybe in that mix, but I really haven't seen any teams down that way. On the boys' side, I would say Madisonville is a solid favorite there. Henderson maybe not as strong, and same with the girls. Henderson maybe not as strong as they have been in the past either. Still a solid team. Kind of the same with the boys. Obviously, Hopkinsville getting knocked out on the boys' side, so that's not going to seem right with the regional tournament without Hoptown in it. So, but I would say Madisonville is probably a pretty solid favorite for the on the boys' side.
Again, regional soccer tourneys next week. Volleyball is a week behind. They will start district play next week and then region the following week. And Kevin, is the volleyball thing going to kind of come down to Caldwell and Henderson again like it seems like it does a lot?
I think those two are going to be in the running. Again, haven't seen a whole lot of teams. Henderson definitely not as strong as they have been. Still a solid team, but they don't have the big player inside like Hannah Watkins or Brooke Springer that they've had in recent years. They lost to Madisonville early in the season, 3-0. So I think you got to throw Madisonville in that mix as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the volleyball is really wide open, maybe more so than it has been. And that's just, again, I haven't seen Henderson County play but maybe 3 matches because they haven't played a lot at home. So it's I'm kind of limited on my knowledge there.
Yeah. Should be a fun time, though. The regional tourneys, district tournament, postseason play, and like we said when we first started, that you go back to August and we weren't even really sure we were ever going to get to this point.
Absolutely. We're just thankful that we've got here, and hopefully things will continue smoothly through the rest of the fall.
Kevin, I know you got to go, but I can't let you get out of here before I ask you about postseason play for Major League Baseball. Looks like your Braves are doing pretty well.
Well, until last night. I'd like to have that first inning over again. But they really surprised me because they've hit the ball really well all year, but then their starting pitching has been great until last night, which was the weakness just because they've had a lot of injuries and a lot of guys that things just didn't work out. And a lot of young guys that they've had in there. So I've been really pleased. They're sitting in good shape. They're still up 2-1. So I feel like they're with their offense, they're going to be a threat against anybody. I think they have a chance to win the whole thing. Looks like it might be them and the Rays in the World Series. That would be pretty awesome. Yeah, that's kind of been what I've been thinking all along. So Braves and Rays, that would be an interesting matchup. It would be. They played. They played during the regular season because of the way the schedule was set up. So. Hopefully that would be a good World Series. We'll still like it happen. The Dodgers aren't going to go quietly for sure. So, but I think that would be a great World Series. Hopefully the Braves can get that done. It's been a long time since they won one. Hey, Kevin, I appreciate your time this morning. I know you got to go, and probably run across you somewhere at one of the regional tournaments. Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you, Todd. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks, Kevin. That's Kevin Patton of the Henderson Gleaner. And, of course, again, regional soccer coming up next week. Regional volleyball will be the next week. District tournaments for volleyball going on the same time as the regional soccer tournaments. So busy time coming up for high school sports. Caldwell County football head coach Will Barnes is in the studio with us. We'll be talking to him in just a little bit as we continue here on the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Your home team at Trice Hughes wants to make sure your vehicle lasts as long as possible, especially since warmer weather means more driving. Trice Hughes reminds you that tire pressure is critical to maximizing the performance of your vehicle. From improved fuel mileage to smoother tire wear, make sure your tires are inflated to the correct PSI.
Trice Hughes is here for you and any questions you may have about your vehicle. Buy your next vehicle from the home team. Find them on Highway 91 North, Princeton, or at tricehughes.com.
For 36 years, we've been promised better health care by none other than Mitch McConnell. He brags about his power in Washington, but he hasn't repealed Obamacare. He hasn't improved Obamacare. He hasn't taken on the drug and insurance companies. And in fact, he's taken more money from big drug and insurance companies than any other senator. And Mitch McConnell is the one leading the fight to take away protections for Kentuckians with pre-existing conditions, like the coronavirus. We need to clean out Congress and drain the swamp.
This is Amy McGrath. This is all why I'm strongly in favor of term limits, so we can finally get things done, like letting Medicare negotiate lower drug prices, keep protections for pre-existing conditions, and women should never have to pay more than men for the same procedures. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message because I will only answer to you.
Paid for by Amy McGrath for Senate.
Carrie McGinnis.
Why do I think pink? I started thinking pink at the age of 37 when my doctor first found a lump and ordered a mammogram for me. It turned out to be nothing, thankfully, but when you're sent for a mammogram at 37, it can be a sobering awakening. I continued to be diligent in my annual mammograms at that time. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in May of 2018 at the age of 43. Talk about sobering. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't need chemotherapy, just simply a partial mastectomy and radiation, period. I was also one of the lucky ones because I had access to 3D mammography here locally, and that saved me.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we urge you to think pink. Join the movement and help save lives. Think Pink coverage is brought to you in part by Parker Eye Care, Main Street Pharmacy, and by Logan's Roadhouse Steakhouse.
Back on the Sideline Report here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Big match coming up tonight over in Morton's Gap. The Caldwell County Lady Tigers taking on Madisonville North Hopkins at 6 o'clock in the championship game of the girls' 7th District Soccer Tournament. Action begins at 6 o'clock over at Hopkins County Central High School, and you will be able to hear that game right here on WPKY tonight, so be sure and tune in. Again, action begins at 6 o'clock over at Hopkins County Central. Caldwell County Volleyball also scheduled to be in action tonight. The Lady Tigers making the trip down to Ballard Memorial for action there. And coming up on Friday, Tiger football. The Tigers hosting Murray this week out at Tiger Stadium. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. And we will have the live video stream on WPKY Online coming up on Friday night. Thanks again to Kevin Patton for joining us this morning on the phone. Will Barnes is in the studio with us. We'll be talking to him right after this timeout on the Sideline Report here on WPKY.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Brantley Furniture.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny skies. May see a stray shower or two this afternoon, and that chance going into tonight as well. A high of 66, an overnight low tonight of 34 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Sunny skies for Friday, a little cooler, a high of 59. Sunny and 65 on Saturday, partly sunny and 69 on Sunday. Increasing clouds, a high near 66 today. May see a few rain showers this afternoon.
Need cash fast? ABC Finance is open with social distancing implementations in place. They believe it's more important now than ever to get a handle on your finances.
Hi, this is Jody Lamb at the Princeton ABC Finance location.
And this is Todd Morse at the Hopkinsville location.
At ABC Finance, we don't just provide loans, but we also provide valuable advice to help you get your credit in better standing.
Our friendly team of professionals has your best interest in mind. We celebrate with you when your finances improve.
We encourage you to like our Facebook page, ABC Finance Company. Many of those useful tips are posted daily on our page, including tons of community info and motivation for the day.
To view social distancing guidelines and safety measures, like and follow ABC Finance Company on Facebook. ABC Finance is located off Fort Campbell Boulevard in Hopkinsville next to O'Charlie's, then Princeton and the Princeton Plaza. Apply for loans online or simply give them a call. They'll take your application over the phone. ABC Finance, all loans subject to normal credit approval.
You're listening to the Sideline Report here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Todd Griffin in the WPKY studios. Again, Kevin Patton of the Henderson Gleaner joining us earlier. And right now we have Caldwell County Tiger football coach Will Barnes in the studio with us. And Will, good morning. How's everything going?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Todd.
Absolutely. A big game coming up on Friday against Murray High out at Tiger Stadium. What do you know about Murray?
Just a typical Murray team, a really good football team that will bring a good team up here. Coach Hodge is a good coach, and you can tell they've gotten better every single week, and it'll be a big challenge for us.
Yeah, depending on how things shake out this season, that could be a big game because it might be for home field advantage in the playoffs.
Yeah, it could play out very similar, to how it did last year with this being, who gets that 2 seed. They still got to play Mayfield, and, which will be a good game, I feel like. So we're kind of still up in the air how this thing will shake out.
It's always difficult when you start trying to compare scores in football, but I think this year especially so because you start trying to look at how one team played this team or that team, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, definitely not. I mean, it just turnovers are always important every year, but it seems like this year there's been some games with a large number of turnovers. And you look at Murray, when they played Crittenden County, they had, 4 or 5 turnovers. When they played Paducah Tillman, they had 4 or 5 turnovers. So when you're doing, that's kind of an unusual thing to have that many turnovers in a game. And there's been several games like that around here where it's some weird scores. And I think if you kind of look into it, turnovers and penalties have a big deal in that.
Yeah, even going back to your game over at Hopkinsville.
Yeah, we turned it over a bunch and didn't really give ourselves a chance to win. And I think they kind of did the same thing the next week, down at Callaway and had some turnovers there in the second half. So it's already a weird year, but kind of some weird scores and weird things happening in games too.
Well, and schedules have been tough to keep up with, but everything's still on track for Friday night here against Murray?
Yeah, yes. Things change hour by hour, but, right now we plan to play tomorrow night.
Last week there was a bit of a COVID-19 concern, and the game at Glasgow got canceled. Is that something that you guys were able to take advantage of the extra time to work to get ready for this week, or how did that kind of affect the team?
Yeah, we, did all that on Thursday morning. So we didn't practice Thursday, didn't have a game Friday, so we didn't do anything Friday. So it gave our guys 4 days just, to make sure nothing else popped up, and really probably we've been going since June, so we've been at it for a little while, and those guys were able to get a little bit of a break too.
You've had 2 weeks now since the 21-20 loss down at Mayfield. Looking back at that game, do you see things a little differently now than maybe you did 2 weeks ago?
I think just the main thing is we kind of took it, watched the film, and took it as a thing. Hey, if we would have done this, and this, maybe it would have been a different outcome. And Mayfield could say the same thing if they did this, and this. That maybe they win by 2 or 3 touchdowns. But this is going to be a competitive district. It'll be competitive, coming around playoff time, and we're right there from being a pretty good football team.
Well, and talking about the playoffs coming up, you end up having to play your own district, and we've seen that in the past, and I'm not sure I can find anybody that really likes it. I don't know why we have to keep doing it. Is there any opportunity in the future for the Football Coaches Association to maybe get that back to the way it used to be, where you were playing another district in the first round or two?
Now, I will say David Buchanan, he is the head football coach at Mercer County. He's the KFCA, the Coaches Association president, and he's done a really good job of trying to get a united voice from the football coaches throughout the state. He's created a coaches council that has representatives from each class and each area of the state. So I think, which was huge this year with a lot of the COVID stuff, he was able to really get our voice out there about how important we thought it was to figure out a way to play. And I think that him and his council and a lot of coaches that are involved in that are a big reason why we were able to get going in June and then get progress to being able to play. So I think the idea going forward is things like that. If there's issues or topics that coaches around the state feel comfortable or strongly about, that's an avenue that's been created to hopefully can easily communicate that, have one voice from the coaches, so it's not 9 million things going to the KHSAA. So hopefully, I think you're right. I think a lot of people would rather do something different than play your district opponents in the first couple of rounds. So maybe going forward, that's a way that could get changed.
Well, and maybe that's a travel thing. And, of course, this year everything is kind of different. You kind of have to just kind of roll with the punches this year, I guess. But I always thought it was really fun trying to find out about those other teams in the district. And, you don't really see them very much typically. You don't know a lot about them. So those were always fun matchups.
Yeah, and, you go back to when we were in 3A, we kind of created a rivalry there with E-Town that never would have happened if we didn't have that playoff set up. So I think it's good to, play other people and, I just think it's a better playoff system, definitely.
Yeah, I remember Adair County came down and played us pretty tough a couple of times. And, you learn about Hart County and those kind of teams, kind of have a little history with Edmonson County going back through the years. So Owensboro Catholic, I remember those games going up there. Those were always big. So it was just kind of fun to get to see somebody different and maybe get to go play someplace different.
Yeah. I agree completely with all that. And, maybe, like you said, maybe we can get back to that here in a few years.
A lot of teams having trouble with their schedules this year. Again, that's just sort of a byproduct of COVID-19 and everyone trying their best to follow the guidelines the best they can. I was over at Hopkins County Central last night for the soccer boys district championship game, and somebody told me that Hopkins County Central has added Knox County Central this week.
Gosh.
They're going to play them Friday night over in Morton's Gap. So, people are really scrambling to find games.
Yeah, and, in a normal year, we wouldn't probably even have the Glasgow game on the schedule just with the trip and all that. But you never know. Next week is not guaranteed. So the kind of way I've approached it is we want to play as much as we possibly can as long as it's safe for everybody. And, up to this point, the Union County deal that whole week was kind of weird. But other than that, we've been able to play. And, when I've talked to Paintsville and places like that, and it's just hard to make that trip. And, I hope going forward, this is the last time we're scheduling during the season because it's been a headache.
Well, and we saw volleyball do that earlier this week. They had Marshall County coming here Tuesday. Marshall decided Tuesday morning they couldn't make the trip. So Coach Daniel Courtner is then trying to find a replacement. And he's at one point he said, well, we're either going to play at home or go to Webster County. So it was after lunch on Tuesday before they finally nailed down the Paducah-Tillman game that night. So that's just how close we are sometimes to getting a game played or not.
Yeah, and that's, going back to last week, when you're making a trip 6 hours on a bus, total round trip, you can't really do that and make decisions on a Friday afternoon. You've got to, we really had to make a decision Thursday, and that's just kind of how the way this thing's gone.
Well, and you guys obviously keeping a close eye on the COVID-19 situation, and I guess everybody is, and that's what's affecting, the schedule is not just from day to day, but like I say, sometimes hour to hour.
Yeah, we're trying to do everything we can on our end to make sure, for one, our players and their families are safe, and two, give our guys the opportunity to play. And whatever we've got to do that, we're going to do. And that's what our mindset's been since June, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Talking with Tiger football coach Will Barnes, and Murray coming to Tiger Stadium this week. You guys going over to Madisonville North Hopkins next week, and Madisonville is another school that's kind of fought that with the football schedule because of COVID this year. Hopefully we get to play. That was a game that actually got added to the schedule because the season started late because of COVID, so you had to rework it a little bit, back in August.
Yeah, and that was, would have been our bye week in a, 10-game season, and, I wanted to get 9-game schedule knowing, there may be 1 or 2 weeks where we don't get to play. So it really, if you look at the schedule back in July, there's not very many teams that have that week as a bye, and, we were fortunate enough to work that out with Coach Burgett. We both talked, and it's something. That's a game we need to be playing every year. Just it's a district game in all of our other sports, so we're going to try to keep that game on the schedule going forward. They're on the schedule next year, so it's a no-brainer, I think, for both schools. They're a very good team and a good program. Coach Burgett's a really good coach, so it'll be a good test for us this year and going forward, and hopefully for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's an easy trip to make, and you said it's a district game and just about everything else, and Hopkins Central's another team that's pretty close. They haven't quite been as competitive lately as Madisonville has been, but when you start looking at travel situations, it's kind of good to maybe look at some of those closer schools.
Yeah, and there's probably a misconception out there that Western Kentucky doesn't have the best football, but you go up and down the classes. There's good football teams in every class down here, and when you can drive 45 minutes or whatever and play a really good team, you need to do that. And we want to play as many good teams in those non-districts games as we possibly can.
Yeah, Madisonville last year, I believe, made the state semifinals and lost to maybe Johnson Central, and they won the whole thing.
Yeah. They, I think, went over there in the semifinals and got beat against obviously really good team because they beat a really good Boyle team in that championship game.
Talking with Will Barnes this morning. Need to get to a break here on the Sideline Report, but we'll be back with more after this here on 1580 103.3 WPKY.
At Shelter Insurance, our agents are dedicated to helping provide personalized auto, home, and life protection that puts your family first.
This is Mike Gilkey, proudly serving Princeton, Kentucky and surrounding areas.
Your WPKY Weather Center forecast. Partly sunny skies. May see a stray shower or two this afternoon, and that chance going into tonight as well. A high of 66, an overnight low tonight of 34 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Sunny skies for Friday, a little cooler, a high of 59. Sunny and 65 on Saturday, partly sunny and 69 on Sunday. Increasing clouds, a high near 66 today. May see a few rain showers this afternoon.
I'm telling you, it's a barn.
No, it's a market. They sell local produce.
You're both wrong. It's a nursery. They sell all types of plants.
None of you are even close. They are a cafe. They sell baked goods, pizzas, subs, and more.
The Country Barn, Garden, and Farm Market in Fairview next to the Jefferson Davis Monument is different things to different people. All this week, you'll have a chance to bid on $150 gift cards. There'll be 2 auctions each weekday, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. Go to WPKYonline.com and click on Big Deals for more info and to bid.
Shop local, buy local, save big. It's here. The Loyal Listener Big Deal Store is online and waiting for you to shop and buy gift certificates to local businesses. Go to WPKYonline.com. Click on Loyal Listener Big Deals. Here you'll find dozens and dozens of gift certificates. Some you'll even be able to redeem from your smartphone. Shop and buy 24 hours a day and save a ton of money in the process. Save on oil changes, dining out, haircuts, car washes, and more. Our store never closes. But you better hurry. You never know how long each deal will last.
Thanks for joining us on the Sideline Report this morning here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Talking with Tiger football coach Will Barnes, and last week the Glasgow game got canceled. It was a late addition to the schedule. Then we couldn't make the trip. But a positive out of that is we got to air a Caldwell County Classic football game last week, and we picked the Paducah-Tillman game from 2017. That was an exciting game, and one of the special things is we got to hear your dad on the pregame show.
Yeah, that was, I tuned in there, and, the pregame shows I never get to hear, obviously, because we're getting ready and doing all that. So that was pretty neat last week, getting to listen to the pregame show and catching a little bit of that game, which was a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was a 24-21 Tiger win out at Tiger Stadium. You guys kicked a field goal on the last play, I believe.
Yeah, we hit the hook and ladder there, kind of to get us down there in position, and we're able to hit that. So that was, a good district win and got us. I think people weren't really expecting much from us that year, and I think we won 10 ball games. So that was a really good year, and that game kind of propelled us into that.
Well, and that was during that 4 years we had in Class 3A before we went back down to 2A. And I think when we went up to 3A, people were thinking, well, it's going to be a little tough with, Tillman and teams like that in the district. But the Tigers beat the Blue Tornado 4 straight years.
Yeah, and, we won the district 4 years and, made the regional championship a couple times. So it was a pretty good run there in 3A, really, and close 1 year there to the semifinals.
Really, going back 7, 8, 9 years, though, Caldwell County football has a pretty good run going right now.
Yeah, and I think it kind of started there in 12, and then since then, we've been able to win some district games, win some district championships, getting some regional championships. So it's that's a good thing because it's good for our kids because Caldwell County is out there known to be a pretty good football program, and just like it has for years past. But it's been good to kind of get to where we're competing for district and regional championships every single year.
Again, Murray coming out here this week, and I really hope the schedule doesn't have to be changed anymore because it's a really good schedule coming up. You guys have the game over at Madisonville North Hopkins next week. Then you've got Trigg County coming in here. That's always a big game. And then you finish up over at Christian County.
Yeah, and I agree completely. It's a nice little stretch run here to get us ready for the playoffs. You look at the playoff deal and the RPI thing kind of comes into play. So if we can get some of these wins down the stretch against these 3, 4, 5A teams, that'll help us with our RPI, and hopefully we have to worry about that because if we do, that means we're playing in the 3rd and 4th round. So I hope we can keep that solidified and play those games for sure.
Yeah, I hope we don't have to air any more classic games, but if we do, that Trigg County game from last year would certainly count.
Oh gosh, yeah. That was a classic for sure.
56-54, and going over there, nobody really knew what to expect, and both teams' offenses just got going, and it was off to the races.
Yeah, it was. I certainly, I don't think any of our coaches were expecting a 56-54 game, that's for sure.
Well, and if I remember correctly, De'Eric Hollowell was sick leading up to that game, and there was some doubt as to whether or not he would play. and he ended up being the star of the game.
Yeah, he didn't play much or practice much, and then was able to play on Friday, and had a really good game running the football, and probably was obviously a big reason why we won the game.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Maybe not so much for the coaches, but
yeah, no, it wasn't, and actually. That game's come up a couple of weeks ago, so just kind of reminiscing on that, and actually went back and watched a little bit of it because I didn't remember some of the plays, but that came up a couple of weeks ago.
Murray High School coming here this Friday night, and what do they kind of do on offense? What can Tiger fans expect to see this week?
The last week or so, they've kind of gone to a too-tight gun run heavy offense, which kind of is it's different than what Coach Duncan would do, but it's the same premise. Get a lot of guys there in the box and try to create angles and to run the football. Previously, earlier in the year and even going back to last year, they were more spread. But they've got some good linemen, the Lawrence kid, and they've got another good, 3 or 4 linemen. I think they've just kind of decided, we're going to try to run the ball. They've got a really good back. Didn't play last week, but I expect him to play this week. And their quarterback, who played against us in that playoff game, is, does a good job running the ball as well. So, they're going to come in here and try to run the ball, and we're going to have to play really good defense and pursuit of the ball to limit their run game.
Now, down at Mayfield, Mayfield had a really good running back, and you guys struggled against him a little in the first half, but I thought in the second half really came out and shut him down and really shut down the Mayfield offense.
Yeah, I think our intensity picked up there, probably middle of the second quarter on defensively. We really pursued to the ball, and we're able to make some plays, which was a good thing to see. And yeah, that the Kylan Galbraith is one of the best, if not the best player in Western Kentucky, and he's a really good player. You watch him on both sides of the ball. He's their best player on both sides of the ball, and that just tells you how good he is.
You guys have had 2 weeks now to get ready for this game. Any new wrinkles you guys have stuck in any place?
Well, last week's practice was all prep in Glasgow. So, we've carried some things over from the Glasgow preparation, but, we really didn't get started on Murray till Monday. So, we'll do what we do, and, that's how it's going to kind of play out, I think.
Everybody healthy and ready to go this week?
Yeah, it should be good to go, and everybody be out there, able to play.
What have you guys been concentrating on in practice? Just ball security and those kind of things?
Yeah, definitely. That's something we try to always emphasize, but we've tried to. We've really focused on the run game on offense, trying to figure out, what are we best at, and we've got 4 games of plays that we can go back and kind of see, well, hey, this play, we're doing this per carry, and so we're able to kind of shrink down what we're doing and focus on what our guys are the best at, and we're going to roll with that going forward.
This is the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, Princeton, Kentucky. Talking with Will Barnes, Caldwell County football coach. And, well, we mentioned it earlier, it's just been a different year, for all the reasons we've mentioned. And it's kind of hard to get a gauge on a lot of teams. I think a lot of teams, including the Tigers, still trying to kind of find themselves just a little bit.
Yeah, normally by this point you would have some 7-on-7, a week or two there of 7-on-7. You'd have 2 scrimmages and 5 or 6 games at this point, so you'd feel pretty confident about who you are, and we're still trying to kind of figure that out, especially offensively. Try, like I said there, that trying to figure out a way to get some things going in the run game, because I feel like that's going to be the difference, whether we're having a chance to play in the 3rd and 4th round, or we're at home after the first round is being able to get that run game going, because I feel like the rest of our parts of our team are doing a good job, and if we can continue to progress there, we'll be a tough out, come playoff time.
Well, like I talked with Kevin Patton earlier, if you go back to August, a lot of us weren't even sure we'd get to see any games this fall. So we've got 4 games in and still 4 games coming up, and positives to look forward to. We've had senior night already. You got to have homecoming. So when we look back to the spring sports and those sports, baseball, softball, tennis, didn't really get to have hardly anything. We've kind of been fortunate in some ways to get in what we've got in.
Oh, definitely. I told our guys, I think I probably tell them every Friday, back in July and even August, I wasn't sure we would ever get to this point. And, we've got to take every single Friday night. We can't take it for granted. We've got to really seize those opportunities, because they're already limited as it is, and you never know when the last one could come this year. So, we'll continue to stress that, and our kids have done a great job. Going back to June and July when there was a lot of uncertainty about what was going to happen, they've done everything we've asked them to do, and kept showing up and kept working hard.
A lot of teams, though, still kind of battling the COVID-19 situation. Unfortunately, Fort Campbell volleyball had to be quarantined. That's going to knock them out of the district tournament, so that kind of ends their season. And they got going late anyway, but I know a lot of teams trying to just really be careful so that, they can keep their seasons going.
Yeah, and, things are going to happen. You just want to do every single thing you possibly can to make sure you're creating an environment that is as safe as you can possibly make it for your players. So, 1, they're safe and their families are safe, and 2, they can play. And that's kind of, I said that at the beginning when we were talking, but that's been our emphasis this year as coaches.
I don't guess I ever really realized how much I appreciated a big crowd at a ball game. And like I said to Kevin earlier, until that crowd wasn't there anymore. And when you're at a game now and you kind of look around and you're like, it was even more fun when there were a whole lot of people here.
Yeah, it's definitely a different feeling and different. I don't really notice it during the game, but before the game is kind of it's kind of eerie almost. But yeah, you're right. I probably took those things for granted.
Yeah, you're used, especially a big football game. You're used to that buzz in the stadium before kickoff.
Yeah, and when the players run out and all that, it's just you're right. It's been a little different this year for sure.
But just thankful that we're getting to play, and Murray's coming here Friday. Good luck to you guys. Anything else you want to tell us about Murray or this week's game coming up?
It's another district game. It's another really good team, and we'll have to play extremely well in every phase of the game to be able to win. And this is an important game for playoff seeding and all of that. So, and like we just said, it's another opportunity, and we can't afford to waste any of them.
That's Will Barnes. Will, thanks for coming in this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate it.
He's the Tiger football head coach. Thanks to Kevin Patton from the Henderson Gleaner for joining us earlier. Don't forget Lady Tigers soccer tonight on the air right here on WPKY. Game time 6 o'clock. The Lady Tigers playing Madisonville North Hopkins for the 7th District Championship, and you can hear it right here. That's going to wrap us up on the Sideline Report. Thanks for listening. This is Todd Griffin. You've been listening to the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
You're listening to the voice of Caldwell County, 1580, 103.3 WPKY Princeton, an Edge Media Group station.